For those of you that don't follow me very often or know much about me, you probably wouldn't know that Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time because it really is the GOAT. It's goated. It's made by some of the best creators in gaming history, and the game itself stands the test of time. Yes, pun intended. And I saw this tweet from Stealth today, and I said, don't you dare get my hopes up. Stealth says, Yuji Horii, which was one of the directors of Chrono Trigger back in the day from the Dream Team, doesn't want to talk about Chrono Trigger anymore. And I read that first line, and I was just like, I guess that's it. I can't talk about that before immediately becoming flustered, jokingly adding comments like, wait, if I say that, you'll figure it out. Don't ask. Asking is off limits, and I'll get in trouble. Sure as shit sounds to me like Chrono Trigger's coming back, baby. But I need to keep my hopes and expectations very tempered, because if there's anything Metroid Prime 4 situation has taught me, is the hype can outweigh the reality if you get too hyped for something. But I will say, my dream for what they do with this Chrono Trigger, assuming they are doing something with it, is not for a sequel. I don't necessarily want a sequel. That a sequel would concern me, because that's the same thing with Chrono Cross. Like, Chrono Cross was a decent game, but it didn't feel like a Chrono Trigger game. It just felt like, I feel like Chrono Cross would have been a better game if it was its own series, if it didn't have a connection to Chrono Trigger. I feel like it almost forced in the relationships to Chrono Trigger throughout the game that made very little sense. So what I would love to see would be not just a HD 2D remake in the spirit of Octopath Traveler or Dragon Quest, but I want them to add dungeons, add stuff to the game, modernize it, and insert new things to it to give it a new feeling while also keeping the OG vibe. And I'm not asking for like a Final Fantasy VII remake type situation with this. I would want something more akin to in line with what the original was, with just more stuff in it. Like, if they could do that, it would be perfect. I don't know if they could like add characters, add more spells later on in the game, or add new weapons and or enemies that are harder to defeat towards the end, stuff like that. But man, just the thought of this game having an update to it is just cool to me. And I'm not going to lie. Now, I know every time I talk about something like this, people are always like, don't touch it, don't remake it, don't even touch the series. It's perfect as it is. To which I always reply, you don't have to play it. You can ignore it. You can pretend it doesn't exist. The best part about the original Chrono Trigger is it will always be there. It will always exist. The original Chrono Trigger is unchangeable. They can't do anything to that. So if you don't want something new, you don't have to try. This comes to us from Nintendo Life. I'll get in trouble. Yuji Horii can't talk about the future Chrono Trigger developments. Well, that's not suspicious at all. I will say some of the best things that came out of this game, outside of the game itself and the music, was the artwork. Oh, God. March 11th, 2025 marked the 30th anniversary of Chrono Trigger. Square Enix marked the occasion by announcing that various projects would be coming our way over the next year. But so far, those projects have been limited to character popularity polls and planned orchestral of concerts. Importantly, that's not the remake that we want to see and have been chatting about for years. But we're still not ready to completely throw out all hope just yet. You see, in the latest episode of Koso Hoso Kyoku talk show live stream, translated by automation, which we're not gonna.
ある予感がしてまして、
なんだろう。
最近
We're not gonna try to hear this out because I have no idea what
ち
they're
ょっ
saying.
と
But
黒のが煽りすぎてないですか？
いや、煽ってる？いや、そんなことないよ。
キャラクター投票とか音楽コンサートとか。
はい、なんかやたら黒野のキャラクター。
anyways, in this talk show live stream translated by automation, Dragon Quest creator and Chrono Trigger supervisor Yuji Horii attempted to keep his lips sealed about where the series is heading, but in saying nothing, he actually said everything. I can't talk about it, Horii-san told the interviewer when asked whether the smaller anniversary events might be foreshadowing bigger developments down the line. He jokingly added clarifying statements like, "Wait, if I say that, you'll figure it out. Don't ask, and I'll get in trouble," before the panel decided to move on with the show. It's far from anything concrete, and there's every chance that Horii-san was genuinely just trying to get himself out of a sticky situation. But we can't help feeling that the whole thing is a little suspicious. Hey, perhaps it's just wishful thinking on our end. No, I don't think it is. Because you don't say, and again, it's translated, so maybe it's lost in translation. When someone asks a question about an old game property, you don't say, "I can't talk about that." You can be like, "Yeah, nothing currently is in the works with that title right now." Unless there is something in the works with it, and that's when you say, "I can't talk about that right now." That's why you say those words. So yeah, I don't think it's suspicious at all. I think this is directly pointing to Chrono Trigger is having something done with it. And I'd imagine based off of these answers that it's going to be something bigger than a soundtrack record released or something like that. Back in May, it seemed like Horii-san might have let the news of an upcoming remake slip during the panel at Napoli Comic-Con, which I covered in a previous video. However, it later turned out that it was just the translator bringing up the series, not Yuji Horii himself. Dope! At the time of writing, the best way to officially play Chrono Trigger remains the wonderful 2008 DS port, which will set you back a pretty penny if you try to pick up on the resale market today. It has arrived on mobile and Windows in the years since, but come on, we all want to see on the Switch too, right? Saying you can't talk about it implies there is something to talk about. Chrono Trigger doesn't need a remake. It is already perfect. And I know this is like I said, this is going to be the thing people fall back on over and over again. If it does indeed get announced, I can already hear the people reading, "No, you're going to ruin it." It's what they always do every time something like this comes out. It happened with Final Fantasy VII. Some would argue it is ruining Final Fantasy VII, to which I say, I still like the remake. I still think it's good, but I still like the original better. I do. I always fall back to the original in its own right is legendary. The remake, to me, regardless of whether I like it or not, doesn't take away anything from the existing property that already exists. It's its own game in its own right. When you suspect there's a Chrono Trigger remake in the works, but you can't prove it. Translation. The remake is coming in like, woo, interesting remake in the works. What do you mean by that? Chrono Triggered. So yeah, this is a thing. And I would expect Square financially is not doing very well at all. Massive layoffs across the board, especially in the West and Europe. And at the end of the day, they are desperate to print money right now. And I think even Square Enix knows that this is their money printing. This right here, this property, this is outside of Final Fantasy VII. This is the property that Square and Final Fantasy Tactics that they haven't gone back to outside of the sequel, Chrono Cross, years ago. And then just re-releasing this game over and over again on every other console. It's such a great game. Highly recommend everyone play Chrono Trigger. Stop what you're doing right now. Go play it. I don't know how. This game came out in what, 1995? And it seems by and large, maybe I'm just getting old, that when I talk to people that love video games and play video games all the time, it's like 75 to 80% of the time people are like, "Oh, I've never played Chrono Trigger." I'm like, how? It's the best one. How have you not played this game? It's so good. It's so good. And by the way, I'm not building it up too much because every time I say this and people come back to me saying, dude, thank you for the recommendation. You were right. That game is amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's my favorite game ever. Yes, play it. It's amazing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm very excited. I'll keep you guys posted on any announcements that Square definitely needs to make to stay in business. Alucard says, Smash, after censoring Akira Toriyama's art in the recent HD 2D of Dragon Quest III, I don't trust remakes of Chrono Trigger. They will censor his art again. I hate modern audience catering. I don't think they will. Because you have to remember, Square Enix, and we covered this a couple weeks ago, they fired all those people. All of them. All the people, all the localizers, the wokies, the people injecting all that stuff. They're gone. I think Square Enix is being professional right now, where they're like, fuck these people. We can't screw this up. We got one shot at this. And it's so important that they're firing everyone before they get started on it. Kage says, Smash, I'm streaming it, and it's so much fun. The story is so good and such an interesting plot. It really is. I love the storyline. Like, man, it took me away. It's one of those games that really defined gaming for me in my personal life. Like, it really did remove me from reality. It's so good. Anyways, that was just a fun intro. And who says I'm always negative, by the way? I get these fuckers saying, do you even like anything? Yeah, I do. I also hate the shit that they keep changing to ruin what we love. Get back to what we love. Why is it so hard?